Worldly funeral rituals are nothing but performances staged for others. The truly transcendent person would sing in the face of death. This is a Taoist story illustrating Zhuangzi's view of the relationship between people and the world. Zhuang Zhou once dreamed that he was a butterfly, fluttering from flower to flower, perfectly content. He followed only the impulses of a butterfly's heart, perfectly at peace with his butterfly existence and completely unaware that he was Zhuang Zhou. Suddenly, he awoke, and there he was, palpably, unmistakably Zhuang Zhou once more. Startled, he asked himself, did Zhuang Zhou dream he was a butterfly, or is this waking life merely a butterfly now dreaming it is Zhuang Zhou? Which is the dreamer, and which the dream? Which life is the transformation, and which the original? After all, between Zhuang Zhou and the butterfly, there must be some distinction. This, the text tells us, is called Wu Hua, the mutual transformation of things and self. But the phrase is deliberately paradoxical. On the surface, it seems to affirm a difference. Yet the moment we try to pin down where the boundary lies, the distinction itself slips away like water through our fingers. The harder we grasp at Zhuang Zhou or butterfly, the more obviously both identities dissolve into the ceaseless, directionless flow of transformation itself. Thus, the ultimate lesson of the butterfly dream is far subtler than a mere declaration that self and world are interconnected, or that everything is constantly changing, truths a child could observe. What Zhuangzi shatters is the very notion of a fixed self that could stand apart from the 10,000 things and either connect with them or change into them. When every apparent boundary between subject and object, waking and dreaming, Zhuangzi and butterfly, life and death, is relentlessly and joyously transformed away, when even the question, who is transforming into what, no longer has any footing, then one wanders freely and unhindered, at home in the boundless flux of the Tao. That unfettered roaming is the freedom of the genuine sage. In the eyes of Zhuangzi, the 10,000 things are never sealed off in their separate identities, never frozen into permanence. They do not merely change, they flow into one another like water, assuming countless shapes, ceaselessly, joyously, without the slightest resistance. Why is such metamorphosis possible? The reason is breathtakingly simple, yet it overturns every ordinary assumption about the world. Between heaven and earth, through all time and space, there is nothing but one continuous breath, one single qi. This qi is not a rarefied spirit hovering above matter. It is the very stuff of stars and clods of earth, of butterflies and human hearts, mountains, rivers, you, I. Everything is nothing more than a temporary gathering of this drifting, luminous vapor. When qi gathers, a shape appears. When it scatters, the shape is gone. Yet nothing is ever added, nothing ever lost. Because the fundamental substance of all things is the same undivided qi, no wall can ever truly stand between one form and another. A man may become a butterfly, an arm may become a horse, a corpse may nourish new grass. Nothing prevents it, for they were never different to begin with. This boundless, directionless, yet perfectly natural becoming is precisely what Zhuangzi names Wu Hua, the transformation of things. Far from being some rare mystical occurrence, the transformation of things is the most ordinary rhythm of heaven and earth, unfolding at every moment, behind every pair of eyelids. To let us taste its full flavor, Zhuangzi presents it in three intertwined modes: the shimmering transformation that steals over us in dream, the startling transformation that bursts forth while we still live and breathe, and the vast, serene transformation that quietly arrives with death. Dream transformation is best known through the story of Zhuangzi dreaming he was a butterfly. In a single turn of thought, self and thing have already transformed into each other without a trace. Life transformation refers to the startling changes that befall a living body. In the chapter Supreme Joy, Zili Shi and Huajie Shi were traveling together at the place where the Yellow Emperor once rested. Suddenly, a large tumor grew on Huajie Shi's left elbow. Zili Shi asked, "Do you loathe it?" Huajie Shi answered calmly, "No. Why should I loathe it? Life is merely borrowed parts temporarily assembled from the outside world. Gathering and dispersal, transformation never ceased for a moment. Now transformation has simply arrived on my body. What is there to resent? Perhaps heaven and earth will borrow this arm to fashion some new vessel, or borrow my organs to make a horse. Whatever comes, I leave it to its own course." Yet of these two modes, dream transformation and life transformation, Zhuangzi speaks relatively little. The one he returns to again and again, the one he celebrates most deeply, is death transformation, becoming something utterly other through the gate of death. To Zhuangzi, life is the gathering of qi. Death is its dispersal. Once dispersed, qi gathers anew elsewhere and forms another being. Thus, all creatures in the world pass endlessly through birth and death, death and birth, an unbroken cycle without pause. Therefore, birth is nothing to rejoice over, and death is nothing to mourn. This is why Zhuangzi utterly rejected conventional mourning rituals. They are nothing more than theatrical displays performed for the benefit of others. The truly liberated person greets death with song. The chapter Supreme Joy records the famous scene. When Zhuangzi's wife died, his old friend Huishi came to pay his respects. The moment he stepped inside, he froze. There sat Zhuangzi, legs splayed wide, banging merrily on an upturned clay basin and singing at the top of his voice. Huishi exploded. "She lived with you all those years, raised your children, and now she's dead. Not to weep is one thing, but drumming and singing? Have you no heart at all?" Zhuangzi answered calmly, without the slightest defensiveness. "When she first died, yes, I grieved. But then I thought, originally she had no life. Then she gathered and gave her form. Form gave rise to life. Now life has turned back into death, just as the four seasons revolve in their endless round. There she lies, perfectly at rest between heaven and earth, and if I were to stand beside her wailing and sobbing, wouldn't that prove I understand nothing of the way things truly are?" The moment I saw that clearly, I stopped my tears. Thus he drummed and sang, not out of cold indifference, but out of joy too vast for ordinary grief to contain. The equalizing assessments of things, Qi Wu Lun, goes further. The transformation that occurs through death is entirely passive. No one, not a single soul, can evade it. On this basis, Zhuangzi divides humankind into three kinds. The first kind are blind to the truth of Wu Hua. They cling frantically to life and recoil in terror from death, setting themselves against the Tao at every turn. The second kind have awakened to the principle of transformation. They neither crave life nor dread death. They accept the endless cycle of birth and death with perfect serenity. The third kind are the perfected ones, the true human beings. They have stepped entirely beyond the circuit of transformation. They neither come into being nor pass away. They are never reborn as something else, and death can never touch them again. They stand shoulder to shoulder with heaven and earth, co-equal with the Tao itself, supremely free, supremely at ease, and even capable in turn of lending a hand to heaven in rearing the myriad things, and to earth in bearing them. Clearly, it is only this third kind, the perfected, that represents Zhuangzi's ultimate ideal, the most complete and flawless way of being human. Thus, in Zhuangzi's eyes, the sage does not wait for death to be transformed. He has already become the transformation itself, wandering playfully between heaven and earth, now a butterfly, now a human, now nothing at all, forever at home in the great effortless flow of the Tao.